Hail and well met, traveler. Welcome to our second installment of We Rolled Dice. I'm your host, Kylan Wiggin. Today, my guest is Adelaide Gardner, a tabletop gaming enthusiast and designer. She's working with a company called Action Fiction on a science fiction horror tabletop RPG game called Anomaly. You can find Adelaide on Twitter. Her handle is @OAdelaide. Also check out her project and others at actionfiction.com. Adelaide, thank you very much for joining me for our second episode of We Rolled Dice. Would you mind briefly introducing yourself for our listeners?
Yeah, of course. I am Adelaide Gardner. I'm Adelaide on Twitter. Tabletops, Devil Queen, essentially. I have a lot of hot takes. I am a game designer officially now. I am a content creator, and I play semi-professionally on many different streams.
Wonderful, and congratulations on becoming officially a content creator.
It's hard. It's ruining my life, and no, it's great, but it is a much different process than just playing in a game. Writing tabletop RPGs is really hard.
Yes, it is, in fact, very hard. So, what was the very first tabletop system that you learned to play?
I believe that was 3.5 when I was in college. I had an assignment to write an ethnographic study for my anthropology class in university, and it's supposed to be in a local group. So I chose the local Dungeons and Dragons group, which also happened to be some of my friends.
Nice.
And I begged them to crash course me in it and teach me everything and let me write about them. And I fell in love. I had always thought Dungeons and Dragons was the dorkiest thing imaginable, which is funny because I used to play video games for like 16 hours all the time. Yeah, no, I fell in love with it. So 3.5 was probably my first.
That is not an easy one to jump into, so.
You know, I don't remember having a tough time with it. I caught on pretty fast, which is hard to believe because I am not good at math at all. I still count on my fingers.
If you found 3.5 easy to pick up, I understand why you're now in the writing space, so that makes a lot of sense to me. So was that also how you just discovered the hobby in general, was through that group of friends during that project?
No, I remember, my dad used to play when he was a kid, and he's mentioned it a couple times. And of course, I've always been kind of like the geeky group of people.
Mhm.
So my friends would play, or like I would hear about it. I'm also adopted. So whenever I met my birth father for the first time, he had like the original AD&D box set,
Oh,
I
nice.
believe, like the old style sheets. And I remember that very well. So that was probably like my first seeing it in person. But I've always think I've known about Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop in general.
Cool. So yeah, you learned about it sort of the same way I did from the previous generation. That's pretty cool. So tell me a bit about your very first D&D character.
Oh God. So the one that I played in 3.5, I think I played maybe a session or two with it. We were on a pirate ship, I think, and I was a swashbuckler of some sort. I don't remember the character class. I'm pretty sure it was some kind of rogue. But I guess my first like big character that I ever played was about 3 years ago in one of my longest running campaigns. Her name was Samsara. She was a tiefling that kind of ran away to the desert and lived out in the desert like some kind of wild creature all alone for about 10 years. So she didn't know how to read. She didn't know how to socialize. She didn't know how to swim. But it was pretty fun.
That's great. And I know that you said on Twitter that you are about to become a DM.
Yes, my first game's on Thursday.
That is fantastic, and many congratulations. And I'm sure you'll do great.
Thank you. I'm very nervous, but very excited.
Can you let us slip any details about your upcoming campaign?
Yeah, so it is 5e. I wanted to learn in a system that I was super comfortable and I already knew. and I am playing a homebrew module called Zeitgeist: The Gears of Revolution, that was built, I think, originally for Pathfinder,
Okay.
or 4E, but then they converted it to 5. It's fascinating. It's super in depth with like lore and politics and very intrigue and huge conspiracy theories. Yeah, so I just decided I would just do a 1 through 20 epic length campaign for my first
Oh,
campaign.
sure. Just jump right in with both
Yeah,
feet.
why not? Why not? It's fine.
That sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. I haven't heard of that module, so I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it's really great. Really, really great.
As you've been playing now, what's been your longest running or most successful game?
I have 3 games, one that ended last year. But I have 3 games that have all played for over a year and a half at least.
Wow.
My Monday and Tuesday games we've been playing for almost 2 years now. And we are in the second season on my Tuesday game. It's not streamed, neither of them are streamed games, but I think we're level 13 now, starting from 1.
Oh, wow. That's
And
great.
it's been a wild ride. Yeah. We're all very good friends now, but at this point we were complete strangers when we met in both games. And it's been really fun. A lot of really intense character development and a lot of fun scary leaps to make, I guess, in terms of like role playing with like challenging myself in new ways. I like it. It's good.
It's great to find groups that support that kind of play.
Oh yeah, it's a very trusting space.
Yeah, definitely. And not all of them do, so it's really nice when you find one.
No, yeah. And when even the boys aren't afraid to cry. I'll just say it, all right? The guys are usually not the crybabies, but like we've all cried in this campaign, so it's good.
That sounds like a good one for sure. And are those D&D as well?
Yes, they are all of my games currently that I play in are 5e, with the exception of my Friday show that is Cyberpunk Red, which has been fantastic.
What is Cyberpunk Red?
That is the newest version of our Talsorian Cyberpunk tabletop RPG.
Oh.
We officially we are their first sponsored Cyberpunk stream, and we got access to the official rule set that is not out yet, but we get to play with the entire full rule set on stream. It's updated sheets, it's updated classes and abilities and weapons and things. It's really, really fun, very high tech, really interesting way of like combat and the things that you can do. It's fun.
Huh.
I like futurism and like very modern stuff. It's my first modern campaign.
That sounds fantastic. I'm gonna have to check out the stream so I can get a sneak peek of this rule system, because I am a systems nerd.
Yeah,
I really
it's
like
great.
them.
It's really fun.
So, out of all the game systems you've played so far, which one's your favorite?
Ooh, okay, so I have 2. There's Scum and Villainy that I've played. I love it for its simplicity. My tabletop that I am developing right now is really takes that as inspiration. My system is completely D12, but I love the simplicity of their stats and how you roll, and everything's very transparent, and really, really cool. But also I love the character creation of Call of Cthulhu, and I know a lot of people hate it because there's so much shit that you can do, but that's why it's good. That's why it's good. You're not supposed to be good at everything in Call of Cthulhu.
That's right.
So there's so many options. Okay, I'm gonna be a Latin speaker, and I specialize in Greek antiquities, and I'm scared shitless, and I'm probably gonna die, but it's all good.
Probably gonna die. Yep. My favorite Call of Cthulhu rule, I think, comes from a couple editions ago, where it says that Cthulhu eats 1d4 investigators per round.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
always made me laugh.
It's a good system.
So tell us a little bit more about Anomaly, because you're working on developing that right now. So
Yes, it's my first tabletop, as I said. It is completely sci-fi horror. Think of it a little like a mix of Men in Black meets the X-Files. It's very SCP Foundation inspired. We have 12 classes. We have a huge expanse of lore that's in a very mysterious agency that you are doing jobs for, and it is entirely played with a single D12.
Cool.
Yeah, we're very excited.
That's fantastic. And how far along are you in the development process?
We actually do have pretty much all of our rule sets finished. The mechanics are there. I'm in charge of the lore writing, and I have the capacity to write maybe 10 words a day.
Sure.
So it's super hard for me. But we have 2 parts of our first triple part module that's meant to be played in 3 sessions. And we are hopefully going to create around 3 to 5 of those with release of the game. Ideally more, but we'll see.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot to get started with.
Yeah, so I was saying maybe like a third of the way into it.
Awesome.
We're hoping to pick up a lot around October time, Halloween time.
Great. And have you been in playtesting so far? Has that gone well?
Yes, not official playtesting, but I actually DM'd. This was the first time that I really felt successful as a DM. 2 weeks ago, I played from my Monday group, just casually running them through the first episode, and they loved it. And it was really, really fun. We learned a lot from it about timing things and just balance adjustments and things like that. So it's really been fun to kind of put me through the ringer with that, because I've never done playtesting before as far as design work. So it's a much different experience, but they loved it. So I mean, we're on the right track, for creating an enjoyable game for sure.
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. I can't wait to keep up with it and check it out when it launches. That's really cool. So, in the time that you've been playing, have you had a DM that has really had a trick or something that keeps the players coming back to the table that you have noticed and want to use for yourself?
I mean, it's hard to say tricks. My favorite game I've ever played is my Monday and Tuesday as a close second. The way they're 2 different DMs, but they weave character backgrounds into just this seamless experience where even if you're kind of on an arc where it's your character's focus, everybody else is still really involved and they actually care about what's going on with your character instead of just kind of waiting for it to move on so that they can get the spotlight. It's all very integrated, and they are all homebrew games, so they weave the storylines in a way that includes everyone in the plot, even if it's one character's kind of spotlight moment. And I really like that. I'm huge on homebrew worlds. I prefer them than any other pre-built module. Pre-built module ever. So homebrew games all the way.
Me too. I'm right there with you. So I've come to see tabletop RPG players on sort of a spectrum between what I call the dungeon crawler and what I call the storyteller. And it sounds like you're a little bit more on the storyteller side.
Oh, big time. I could care less about combat, to be honest. I do enjoy combat. And there have been some fights that have been very, very memorable. And it's just constant dice rolling the entire time. But yeah, I'm definitely a storyteller kind of person. As long as combat advances the story in a meaningful way, I'm all for it. But otherwise hey, you kill a bunch of guards and you move on, kind of thing.
Right. Have you also noticed when playing, especially 5th edition, that when I'm not sure how your DMs play it, but when you have fewer combats, they have to be a lot bigger than you'd think, or the players just sort of roll over it?
Yeah, I would say all of my games are pretty balanced as far as combat and role playing. We definitely have, I would say, at least a combat every other session, if not a small one every session. But it definitely isn't just kind of thrown in there just to give us something to do. All of them in the games that I've really enjoyed have some kind of purpose to them and are completely bypassable, I guess, if we want to go that route. But I've never really felt that it's just like, oh, he's just kind of throwing a dragon in our way just because we're in a dungeon and that's what you're supposed to do is find the dragon. Yeah, definitely some kind of meaning to the fight if there's going to be fewer fights in there for sure.
That aligns very well with my own philosophy. So I'm glad to hear there are other people out there doing this stuff. And so you've already said one of my questions is about whether you prefer pre-written modules or creating your own worlds, but you have already
yeah, creating my own worlds. Yeah, I haven't been able to do that as a DM yet. Eventually, one day, I hope to. That's a lot of pressure as a new DM. But I love creating worlds and NPCs and maps, especially. I'm like a hobby map maker in my own time.
It's so much fun.
I'm not good at it, but it is fun. Incarnate for the win. Love it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good. But no, I definitely prefer homebrew worlds. I think they allow for much more character depth and exploration role play wise than a lot of modules can give you. I'm sure there's a lot of great modules out there. I don't know. I don't have much interest in them. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I can't tell you. And of course, I'm saying this knowing I'm DMing a module, but you know.
Well, sure, but you know, first of all, it's nice to have the net when you first get started.
Right. Right.
It sounds like it's because you're a storyteller and you like to make sure that the characters feel important and not just people who wander by in the world.
Right, yeah. I want them to feel meaningful in the story and not just I'm playing this to progress somebody else's story.
So, what is your best idea for a character that you haven't gotten to use yet?
Oh, God. Oh, man. That's a good question. I'm really fortunate that I get to play most of the characters that I have created. Oh, you know, I don't think I have one that I haven't been able to play, but I think my favorite characters that I've ever created, one is a Gorgon in a Weird West campaign that's very West Marches style.
Okay.
She's kind of a villain, actually, in that game. I haven't played her in a long time, but very cutthroat bandit Gorgon woman, essentially. And I also play an Azamar in my podcast Fae Forge Academy, where I love her aesthetic character development. She's a Black woman, but she's an Azamar, so she has vitiligo, but it's gold.
Oh.
And it glows.
Cool.
So I had a dream about it, and I was like, I have to make a character that looks like that. It's just too beautiful. So
that's really cool. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
A good way to use that divine heritage.
Right, exactly. Azamar is supposed to look really special, so.
Right, exactly.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
What's the point?
Right, then you might as well just play a human, right? Like.
Right, exactly.
So, I know you said that you are in a live play, right?
I'm in multiple, yes.
Okay, cool. Can you tell us a bit about them?
Yeah. So Wednesdays I play on Goldheart Group's channel. We are playing 5e, a homebrew game called A Date with Death, where we have somehow picked up literal death as a character into our party.
Okay.
And kind of flirting with them along the way, adventuring with them along the way. And we are almost at the finale pinnacle, I think. So that should be pretty fun. I play an old lady turtle that has had many sexual exploits along her couple hundred years. Yeah, they call her Big Nan.
That's wonderful.
It's really fun. She's got a very thick Southern drawl, and I just channel my grandmother, so it's been really fun. Friday's my cyberpunk red game. As I said, I play Reno as solo. It's very surly. She's a cat. And Sundays I'm on Fae Forge Academy, which is our podcast. That's also 5e, and we are students in a magical academy exploring some mysterious goings on with the school. Is that it? Is that all that I'm in right now? Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Yeah, I think that's it.
For now, anyway.
I'm in too many. It used to be more.
So that, of course, takes up a lot of time. Is there one that you enjoy watching that you keep up on, or is playing in them taking up enough time for you?
I occasionally, of course, I occasionally watch Critical Role. I am not up to date. I think I'm in episode 83 of campaign 1.
Okay.
And that's taken me like 3 years to get through.
It's very long.
It's very long. Well, okay, so I hated it when I first watched it. I did not like it, and it took me like 3 different times, and it's like, fuck it, I can't do it. I hate these characters. I hate these people. I'm sorry, Critical Role. But then campaign 2 came out, and it's like, well, maybe I'll give it another shot. And suddenly I was hooked. And so I watched that until about the 1st December after it aired, and then I paused it. It's like, hold on, wait a second. Let me give campaign 1 one more try. I like everybody now. I get the concept, and I want to know the in jokes. So let's just do it. And now I'm on episode 84-ish. So I'm almost done. I thought I was done. I thought I was like, oh yeah, there's like 90 episodes in campaign 1. I'm nearly finished. No, there's like 120. I have like
120.
400 more hours. I have 400 more hours in this campaign.
Well, I will say, having seen all of season 1, or campaign 1, the ending is worth it. So when you get there, it'll be worth it.
Oh, I love it. It's been really, really great. But that's the only one that I keep up with. I occasionally watch Rivals. I really love Rivals of Waterdeep. Really great show. I've got friends on that cast, so I'm kind of biased, but it's stellar. I also like the Musafir's podcast, which is a decolonized D&D podcast. Really great. I've watched a little bit of Venture Maidens. I love the Broadswords. I have not kept up with the Broadswords. But they were really, really good. And I wish I could watch more of my friends' stuff because I got a lot of friends in tabletop space. But
there's only so many hours in a week.
There's only so many hours in the day. I wish I would have to quit everything essentially to watch everything.
To keep up with everything.
I watch Critical Role once, like maybe every 3 weeks. That's about as much as I've got time for.
Right. Yes, I understand. The blessing and the curse of this wonderful era of content is that there is just so much.
Yes.
So, I actually have a more specific question, going back to Anomaly. What made you decide to fuse sci-fi and horror?
I had been sitting on the concept of Anomaly for about a year, but I didn't know how to make a tabletop RPG. Like I knew how to play it. I considered myself an experienced player even back then, and now I really consider myself an experienced player. But I didn't know where to start. I played, especially after I played the video game Control, I was like, this is exactly what I want for a tabletop RPG. Like this is it. And it never really formalized until I met my boyfriend, Jaron Johnson, who is another part of our company, Action Fiction. And I gave the concept to him and I was like, listen, this is what I want to do. Do you know how to do this? And he's like, boom, done. We're going to make it. We're going to make it happen. Nice. He probably just said that because, he was flirting with me, but still, it's happening. But I've always really loved sci-fi. I'm a huge fan of Men in Black. It's so cheesy, but it's so good.
So good.
It's great. Especially the third one. Super underrated. Really quality movie. We watched all 3 of them again just this past couple months to get a refresher on it. But I love the spookiness of tabletop, and I don't see that there's enough of that really, or enough of the kind that I like anyway, because I also really like camp.
Right.
And it's kind of campy. It's very retrofuturism. There's that wonderful bit of very dry wit to the horror as well, in unexpected ways, I hope anyway. So I hadn't seen anything really like that in tabletop space, and I wanted to make it.
That's really cool. I found it's difficult to evoke horror at a tabletop. It's a difficult feeling to evoke, so I'm looking forward to finding out how you develop that.
That's why I was so excited. But when I ran my guys through our module, they were thoroughly, genuinely creeped out, and I was like, "This is what I need. I need it to be scary." So success!
That is definitely a win.
Hooray!
Yes. All right, that's fantastic, and thank you so much for sharing those little previews with us. That's great. We will look forward very much to seeing that come out, and fingers crossed for Halloween.
Yeah, our Kickstarter, I will let it slip. Our Kickstarter should be ready to go around Halloween time. So
Awesome.
That's all of our updates will be on Action Fiction's Twitter and website. I also tweet nonstop. It's ridiculous. So you can find shit on my Twitter as well.
Excellent. And actually, I'll ask one more question. As far as the book goes, what's your plan for artwork to fill your book with?
We have a small team right now of writers. We actually have a teaser image that we've leaked, or not leaked, I guess, posted publicly. It's going to be very, very retrofuturism, very gritty. A lot of super creepy monsters, which we're really excited about. The agency's very brutalist architecture. Yeah, it should be really good. I'm really excited about our team of artists. It was really hard to find people that can do retrofuturism. That's not a very common art style nowadays.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, everybody really loves the very modern cyberpunky art, which is great too, but that's not what we're going for.
Not the thing you needed, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, excellent. I think that covers about all the questions I have for today, Adelaide. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and your insights with us. We're going to keep a close eye on Anomaly and its Kickstarter, which we'll, of course, share when that comes up. And thank you again, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me. I hope you do too.
Thanks so much to Adelaide for joining me to share her story today. We're very much looking forward to hearing more about Anomaly and Action Fiction's other projects, and we'll update on this story as we hear more. Until next time, may the road ever rise to meet you. ThreatDice is a production of Tumbledie Games LLC. The We Roll Dice intro is New Hope, the interludes are Clockwork, and the outro music is Storm, all by Vincevept. Check out his amazing work at youtube.com/Vincevept. VINDSVEPT. Additional music by Andrei Sitkov and Andy Ray. This episode was produced and recorded by me, Kylan Wiggin, and special thanks to our guest, Adelaide Gardner. A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. You can find ThreatDice on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.